guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I am doing acrylic application for beginners. So I've put two tips on my flexi hand. So I've got a shorter one and I have got a longer one. So the colour I'm going to use is Sunkissed, just because it's dark and you'll be able to see that better as I'm applying it. So that is the colour. So I've also got some glitter to show you, because I do glitter a little bit different, and then I have got a clear. So let's start with setup. So I always have one down, a sheet down, and then I fold a sheet up to wipe my brush on. So I've got a pot here with some monomer, so I better just put a little bit more on there. So if you just take your brush and put it up to the edge and pour it, it'll just go straight into your dish. Right, so before you even start doing nails, just make sure that you press all them bubbles out of your brush. You don't want no bubbles in your work. Right, so let's see if I can get these nearer. I'm going to do the shorter one first. So I'm going to show you the 2 bead, just because it's a bit easier. I normally use the 1 bead when I am doing capping, but if you're beginners, I'm going to do this video for beginners today. So I'm going to press my brush, and then when you're doing your liquid, do not do it hard. You don't want to take it all, otherwise you'll end up with a dry bead. You don't want to dip it in and take it straight out, because that's way too much. So what I do is I dip my brush in, get them bubbles out, and then just lightly run that up the side of the jar. So if you're rubbing it up that way, then most of your liquid's going to be on this side. So keep your brush that way when you put it in. There's no point doing it that way, because you've just wiped most of that liquid off. So dip it in, pull it off, and then pick up your bead. So with CJP it's normally 3 seconds. So that's the bead. So that worked. Okay, try again, Dawn. Pick your bead up. So it's like orange peel. So you just place that on and just let that sit for a second, so it shouldn't be running down. So what I like to do then is I just like to part that back bit, just to get that so that it's blended up, so you don't get an harsh line when you're doing it. And then once that starts setting, just pull that down, pat that down that nail. Then I just use my brush just to tidy that free edge up, and then I will just blend that up. So you can see the thinness there has got to be really thin. You don't want a thick free edge, and if you find that it has, just pat that down and it'll thin that off. So I'm going to do my second bead, which will be the cuticle bead. So your cuticle is the main part of a nail. So I'm going to dip my brush, take that excess off, and this time I'm going to pick up a bigger bead, not much bigger. So it's got that orange peel effect, and then I'm going to place that really close to that cuticle, and then just leave that to sit. Point that finger down, and then that product will start running away from the cuticle down that nail. So once that starts running, I'm just going to pat round that cuticle and bring that down. Pat round that cuticle and bring that down. So by this stage it should have run a little bit further down. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my brush, try and keep everything in that centre so that you've got your shape, And I knew it were going to do this. I knew it were going to start moving. And then just pat that down into that first bead. So at this stage you can have a check, make sure. So if it isn't right, just go in with your brush and just pat that into the shape that you want. So you want it to be flush at the cuticle, and then your biggest or thickest part is your apex, which is this. So you want it to go up and then come down. So at this stage I'm not happy, there's a little dimp there because I was talking too much, so I'm just going to pick up a bead just to pop in there, quickly blend that down, and then I'm just going to quickly blend that up, and that will merge them two beads together. And then just pat it so you can see that shape. So flush at the cuticle, then it goes up, and then it starts coming down to that free edge. So if you keep your beads nice and neat, you shouldn't have a lot of filing to do. Your shape should be there. So that is the 2 bead, and that is about the right thickness. You don't want to be any thicker, but if I'll show you on this one. So this one, because it's glitter, I do it slightly different. So because you don't want to bulk your nail up when you're using glitter, what I normally do is, obviously I've got my glitter there, so I'm just going to pick up a bead. So I'm going to place that near that cuticle, that finger's down, and I'm just going to tuck that in and then start pulling that bead down this nail. So this one is just for colour under that nail. I'm not bothered about the structure because I'm going to do that with clear. So just put a bit more on that tip, and obviously your nails are a lot longer on this nail, so I'm just going to use my brush. You can either use your brush like this and just place that in and nudge that round, which I will do, or you can pick up a really small bead of clear and pick it up with that and put that on. Depends how you prefer to work. I do both, so it doesn't matter which way you choose to do this. Okay, so that's the glitter on. So with glitter you definitely need to cap it so that you don't lose your sparkle. So I'm going to use exactly the same method, the 2 bead method, so I'll just change my powders. So again, it is a longer nail, so I'm going to pick up the free edge bead. So again, look for that orange peel effect. So I'm just going to place that on, and then I'm just going to use my brush just to pull that down. So just get that covered. Just use your brush just to guide that down to that free edge. Again, you want to keep that free edge nice and neat, so if you've got too much product, just pull that off of the tip. Just going to clean my brush. So that's getting a bit messy for me. So if you don't keep your tissue clean and I've just knocked it, and you're wiping your brush constantly on that same spot, you're just wiping the acrylic back into your brush. So let's get that back now I've knocked it. Clean my brush. I like to do this every so often just to make sure that that's nice and clean as your brush, because otherwise it will stick. Your brush will also stick if your bead is too dry or you're trying to work too wet. So if you're doing it this method where you're getting it into that orange peel consistency, it should release off your brush nice and neat and stay roughly where you're putting it. If you work wet, which I do sometimes, your brush will have a lot more product and you'll have to wipe it off more. Right, so let's get this cuticle area done. So that's a nice bead. So I'm going to place that near that cuticle and then tip that finger down, and that product will start working its way down that nail. So while that's working its magic, I'm just going to go around that cuticle and pull. So tap, 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 and then pull. So by now, if you go into this and you press it and your brush is sticking, I would leave it a few more seconds. As soon as your brush is not sticking to your product, you're good to go. So I'm just going to now just pull this over that nail. So with glitter, you want everything to be dull. If you've got any that's not dull, it means it's not covered. And that's my door. She'll have to wait a minute. All done. Right, so I'm just going to leave that there and I will be back in a minute. Right guys, sorry about that. So that was just my daughter. She just brought me my Mother's Day presents. So I'll just recap on this nail. So go in with your bead here, bring that down, and then your cuticle bead is your most important. So if you put a bead on and you start jabbing there, you will get liquid from your brush onto your client, and you're more than likely gonna push some of that acrylic under that cuticle area. So if I pull this out, so if you put your bead on and let that gravity do its work and pull that down, you should not have a ledge there, and if you're not jabbing it, it should be nice and smooth like this, and everything should run down towards the tip area. So that is the shape. So you've got flat into your cuticle, then it comes up, bigger in this part because it's your apex, and then it goes down towards that tip. So I hope this video helped you guys. Next I think I'm going to show you how I marble, because a few of you have said that you're not too good with marbling, so I thought I'd just do a more in-depth on how I do marbling and how wet my beads are when I'm working. So I think that'll be my next video guys. But if you've liked this one, give us a thumbs up. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.